presented by Progressive. Tonight in Tallahassee, 20th ranked Miami in town, led by their star senior Isaiah Wong. Miami looking to solve Florida State. It has been Miami mastery for the Seminoles, who have won 9 straight against their rivals. It's a rivalry that ripples across all sports. Anish Shroff, Corey Alexander, and when one side has won 9 in a row over the other, that doesn't sit well with the other side.
It absolutely does not. And Anish, you know I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan, whatever you got to say about that. But the great Joe Gibbs, Washington's head coach, once said, it can't be a rivalry unless both teams win every now and then. And right now, for Jim Larrañaga and the Miami Hurricanes, they haven't won in the last 9 tries. It's an important game for them.
Yeah, talking to Jim Larrañaga at shoot-around, he said, I'm tired of losing to these guys. Isaiah Wong is tired of losing to Florida State as well. He's played well in the last 5 games against the Noles, yet no wins.
And Isaiah Wong, as he nears the end of his college basketball career at Miami, he thinks about the fact that he does not want to leave this rivalry with that donut on the left side of the column.
When these two played last year, both games were decided by 1 point. Wong had a chance to win both games at the buzzer and missed both game-winning shots. Jim Larrañaga, finalist for the Naismith Hall of Fame for the first time. Leonard Hamilton, a repeat finalist, 1,300-plus career wins between the two.
And a tremendous amount of respect between these two coaches.
Officials, TV, Ted Valentine, Jamie Luckey, and Clarence Armstrong. And Florida State controls the tip, a Seminoles team that started the year 1-9. They had a disastrous non-conference. They've had some injuries, had some absences as Darren Green knocks down the jumper. They've settled down in conference play. In fact, they're 5-4 in the ACC, only a game behind Miami in the standings.
They absolutely have settled down, and they've been able to do it, playing guys more minutes than Coach Ham is accustomed to doing so.
Jordan Miller able to draw the foul on Cam Corrin down low. This Miami team coming off a tough road loss at Duke. They've dropped 3 straight on the road, and something to watch is Isaiah Wong. He has been under the weather, battling a sinus issue. Coach Larrañaga telling us at shoot-around he's had some difficulty breathing. He plays 30-plus minutes per game, and that'll be something to watch.
I got a chance to talk to Zay pre-game, and he simply just said, I have to breathe through my mouth. I'm not used to having to do this. But at the same time, he wants to make sure he has a strong performance today. He said he does feel better than he has in the past 2 games. Not 100%, but he's going to be aggressive here tonight.
Starting lineups for Florida State. Matthew Cleveland is the team's top scorer in league play. Green, a sniper, and Corn, the freshman who picked up the foul, playing with more confidence of late. Caleb Mills swimming under, can't get it, and Norchad Omier with the rebound. Nigel Pack has shot it well of late, 50% from 3 over his last 4. Wong just 3 of his last 16. That's the last 2 games, and Omier averaging a double-double. Omier working down low on the freshman. Too strong. Miller had the rebound go off his hands. Here comes Cleveland. Jalen Worley, he settled down in the point guard role and goes to the left hand for 2. And that's part of what's different for Florida State. Worley, again, getting more comfortable as that starting point guard.
Yeah, Jalen Worley wasn't the starting point guard to begin the season. Cameron Fletcher was in the starting lineup, and they really played Caleb Mills at the 1. As Wilbur Poplar steps up and knocks down the mid-range jumper, but now after the injury to Cameron Fletcher, Worley takes over at the point. As you mentioned, he's becoming much more comfortable in that role.
And he fits the bill of what Leonard Hamilton likes, that big point guard at 6'6". Here comes Mills, the runner, too strong. Poplar there for the board.
And you talk about the size. Jim Larrañaga told me pregame, simply said that this is probably the smallest Florida State lineup that he's played against, as Nigel Pack, the smallest guy on the floor, steps up and knocks down a huge 3.
And he was 13 of his last 26 from 3. Hit 4 over the weekend in the loss against Duke. And you talk about settling into that point guard role. Pack has been doing that of late. It was an adjustment for him According to his head coach, he was more of an off-ball guy at K-State.
Well, and a lot of that because he shoots the basketball so well. Good opportunity to see Nigel Pack. And again, the confidence that you have to have in transition to pull up from about 25 feet and knock down the three ball right in front of the opposing team's bench. Nigel Pack does not lack confidence in any way whatsoever.
First team all Big 12 at K-State last year. Here's Wong, guarded by Worley, now picked up by Mills.
And right now, this is a possession where you would normally see Isaiah Wong being super aggressive, trying to get to the basket.
Poplar with his second to three. Wugga Poplar, sophomore who has started every game this year after coming off the bench a season ago.
And he really does a lot more on this end of the floor defensively where he normally makes his impact.
Green with the block and then a foul at the back end. And there is Wugga Poplar, to your point. He had 6 steals in a game against Georgia Tech earlier this month.
And Poplar, after knocking down 2 threes early in this game, is doing what he continues to do all season long for Jim Larrañaga. Getting out in the passing lane, trying to turn defense into offense, but even though he doesn't finish, Isaiah Wong gets an opportunity at the free throw line to put 2 points on the board. And then he's talking to Coach Ham pregame, he simply said that normally when he plays against Miami and coaches against Jim Larrañaga, he's concerned about their offense. But today, it's been about their defense. He says they really get after you, they really guard you. He's been impressed with what the Canes do on the defensive end of the floor.
It's an 8-0 run for Miami. Cleveland, the fall away. Not there, tipped out to Wong. FSU getting back. Poplar catch and shoot. A rebound, Miller. Pack from the outside. And that goes. Another 3 for Miami. That is 4 3-pointers early and an 11-0 Hurricanes run.
Needless to say, the Canes are comfortable in Tallahassee. They've been spent a couple days here and got acclimated to their times.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by Progressive Insurance. It is easy to bundle your home and car insurance at progressive.com. An early 3-point barrage from Miami, and they've got a 14-4 lead.
2 of those threes made by Nigel Pack early, Wugga Poplar getting involved in the mix as well. As Miami very comfortable here in Tallahassee.
Why is that, Corey?
Well, it's a little bit based upon their travel schedule, Anish. The U, instead of going back to sunny South Florida on Saturday after their performance at Duke, a noon game, they stay in Durham, and then on Sunday they fly to Tallahassee. They have this off day on Sunday. They stick around, they practice Monday, and prepare for their game on Tuesday. Unconventional, yet for a rivalry game against a team that you've lost to 9 straight times, sometimes you got to get out of conventional ways to do something different.
What does that tell you? This game means a little more. Corey with Florida State, after that 1-9 start, what's different about this team as constructed right now?
Well, one of the major differences is, you mentioned earlier, Jalen Worley at the point guard position, I believe, has settled them down. They don't turn the basketball over as much as Nigel Pack lines up and knocks down a third 3-pointer here to start the game.
And he's cooking with hot sauce early. Here's Green, he can heat it up. Poplar the other way. Ahead of the pack, nifty move to the bucket.
Very nice finish for Wugga Poplar. And, you know, one of the things that Leonard Hamilton talked to us about pregame was the fact that they could not allow Miami to want this game more than they did. But early, 19-4, looks like Miami has a little more motivation than do the Noles.
Worley looking inside for Korn. It's not there. Instead, corkscrews to the rim and lays it in. Now, Leonard Hamilton's words were, they don't want to wake up tomorrow, open the paper, and see that they've lost 10 in a row to us.
Absolutely. And, you know,
nobody opens the paper anymore, but on an iPad or phone or tablet, whatever.
But here's the thing. Florida State had the same type of advantage over Florida earlier in the year. They had a 7-game win streak against the Florida Gators. Playing on this same floor, up 19 points in the first half, allowed the Gators to come back and beat them. And so this team may not quite understand the rivalry that Miami does right now, but simply because you have a lot less experience in this Florida State uniform for the guys and their personnel.
The foul on Cleveland, and entering the game, the highly touted freshman from Mallorca, Spain, 11 in white, Baba Miller. Just his 4th game of the season, suspended the first 16, and missed his 2nd game back with tonsillitis as Omier works the inside. That was the Sun Belt Conference Player of the Year a season ago at Arkansas State.
And Norchad Omier is making a big-time impression for Jim Larinaga, who loves him, from Nicaragua, and still learning.
Corin lost it on the way up.
Norchad Omier catching the basketball in the post area. Undersized, but yet has great footwork. The pump fake gets the shot blockers in the air and gets the easy bucket.
And Miami has not had a guy like that the last few years.
They have not, of course, and played with Sam Wardenberg a season ago, who was completely opposite of Omir's. Matthew Cleveland steps up and knocks down the 3-ball, where he's much improved this season.
Much needed for Florida State, and now the Seminoles pick up Miami full court. That's been a challenge for Leonard Hamilton. With the injuries and the younger players, he hasn't had the ability to play the way he wants to, press, and sub a lot of guys in. Omier fights for the rebound, wins the battle. Poplar from the corner, and he hits.
That is the influence of Omier. You see a great offensive rebound, and more importantly, knowing he is undersized in the post, keeping his head up, finding his shooters on the perimeter.
Omier has had at least 13 rebounds in 3 straight games. Miller contested, too much. Miami looking to push. Wong, catch and release, got it.
Whatever Jim Larinaga did to change the schedule, it has worked thus far for the Hurricanes, who seem super comfortable here in a place where they haven't won in 5 seasons.
Miller thought about it. Here's Green, contested 3. And it'll be Miami ball, all Hurricanes, 27-9. Canes are 6 of 8 from 3-point range early on.
And this is a very good shooting Miami Hurricanes team. And we talked about Jim Larinaga and the way that they play. Really 4 guards on the floor. Jordan Miller at 6'7" is a guard and capable of making plays off the bounce and shooting as well. They spread you out and put the pressure on your defense and handling the basketball extremely well. 8 assists, 0 turnovers. Make that 9.
That's off the bench. Bensley Joseph finding the cutter, Anthony Walker.
But one of the things about Miami, everyone knows their role. Bensley Joseph knows that his role is to come in and make plays as well as the defensive side of the floor.
And Florida State turns it over. Also checking in for Miami, Harlan Beverly, 5 and green. In 2 of the last 4 games, both wins for Miami, BC and Syracuse, he's been the best player on the floor.
He absolutely has been that, and not only because of what he's done offensively, but what he does defensively as well. But when you look at the Canes, they're sharing the basketball extremely well, building a 20-point lead early on the road.
Meanwhile, Florida State, 4 field goals and 4 turnovers. Miami gives it up. Here comes Cleveland. Accelerates and swoops in.
Denise, one of the things that's going to be the telltale sign as to who is able to get the win here tonight is going to be points off of turnovers forced. There's an important factor for both of these teams. That's the first opportunity for Florida State to get an easy bucket off of their defense.
Jordan Miller drops it off. Walker, shot blocked by Baba Miller. Florida State's defense ramping it up, but Miami can't miss.
Miami is feeling itself here in Tallahassee. It's been all about the three. Wooga Poplar knocks down his second. Nigel Pack, Isaiah Wong, everyone getting involved in the three-point part.
Last year, Florida State and Miami played twice. Both games came down to the wire. Both games decided by a single point. In the first meeting, Raekwon Evans hit the deciding free throws. Isaiah Wong had a chance at the end, did not come close. Second game, which was 11 days later in Coral Gables, Florida State jumped out to a 26-point lead. Miami roared back, had a chance to win it at the end. It was Isaiah Wong one more time. However, the Canes could not complete the comeback, and Florida State would extend its win streak against Miami to 9 games. There's Wong's game winner that fell a little short, 61-60. And you don't have to keep saying it, but this is a rivalry. It's a game that matters. Leonard Hamilton knows that his team has been the dominant team the last 4 or 5 years, and Jim Larrañaga said it's important to get a win. That's why they got to Tallahassee early.
It absolutely is that, Anish. I had the opportunity to do both those games a year ago, those one-point losses, as we see the shot clock getting down to 5.
And Miller beats the shot clock with a 3. Miami 7 of 9 from deep.
But talking about those 2 games, for everything that Miami did a year ago, Elite 8, it still bothers Jim Larrañaga that he lost both those games to Florida State. And again, that shows you the level of rivalry this is. And there is additional fuel to the fire from the fact that Leonard Hamilton was a coach at University of Miami.
He's in the Hall of Fame as Naheem McLeod, a 7'4" big guy, gets the basket inside. And there's a different dynamic here too. Florida State with its 7-13 record. They're a much better team right now than the record indicates. But again, when you look at net rankings and tournament resume, if you lose to Florida State now, as Pittsburgh found out over the weekend, that dings your resume pretty hard, fair or not.
It absolutely does just that. But when you consider the fact that Naheem McLeod has come off the bench and had an impact early in this game, but when you consider the fact that that's something that no one has ever talked about Florida State, especially coming to the top and saying that's a bad loss to be able to come and lose in this building where they're 52-9 over the past 5+ seasons in ACC play. So hard to imagine this being a bad loss.
Beverly through some rush hour traffic, 34-15 Miami with a 19-point lead. Chandler Jackson, the freshman guard, in there for Florida State. Green still looking for his first 3-point field goal. Packs hit a few of them, drives to the lane, uncontested.
That's a byproduct of the fact that he's already knocked down 3 threes in this game. You got to contest him way out beyond the 3-point arc, giving those driving lanes. And because Miami's shooting it so well, everyone from Florida State hesitant to help.
Canes 65% from the field. Cleveland green lights a 3, in and out. McLeod knocks it back, chased down by Miller. Miami working quickly. Beverly on the drive. Baba Miller got his hands on it. Here comes Miller in transition against the smaller Pack and using that Euro step for 2.
But that just shows you a small bit of the skill level that Baba Miller has and why Leonard Hamilton is so excited about getting him back into the lineup after serving that 16-game suspension.
He was 6'2" and a guard at age 14. And then at age 18, he was 6'11", and he has a lot of the skills that you see in a guard. Pack is feeling it. His 4th 3. He's got 14 in the first half, 5 of 6 from the field.
But the degree of difficulty for that 3, shooting it over the 7'4" McLeod, makes it even bigger.
Here's Green to answer, and that's in and out.
You know, the one thing, Anish, right now for Florida State, they can't get caught up in trying to get back everything on one shot.
Joseph, the drive, lost it. McLeod comes away with it. Jackson, who's given Florida State some nice minutes the last 2 games, had a career-high 8 points against Pittsburgh. And we get a foul. It's on Bensley Joseph, his first. And that is just the first team foul on Miami.
Right now, Anish, there is no 22-point play. So Florida State just has to try to find a way to chip away at this lead. But it's going to start on the defensive end of the floor. I mentioned earlier, Coach Ham told us, hey, I'm more concerned about their defense than I am their offense. Well, that has switched here early in this game because Miami's offense has been firing on all cylinders.
Miami can't miss. Florida State looking for an answer. Cleveland contested and hits. He's turning into an all-conference level player. He's played his best ball here in ACC play this season.
He absolutely has done just that and really became more of the leader of this team once Cameron Fletcher was injured in the Virginia game. Continues to get better and better. Harlond Beverly is feeling good about himself today. You talked about the fact that he has up and down days, and right now, today is up.
He is on the load management program. He's got a back injury. It still flares up. But he's been a big-time contributor in 2 of Miami's wins recently, Boston College and Syracuse. Mills back in there. Ducks under Beverly. And we get a whistle.
Miami's done the majority of his damage from beyond the 3-point line. However, their center, Norchad Omier, dropping it off to Harlond Beverly, who finishes above the rim.
For 3. Watch out! 2 premier programs in the women's game.
The defining rivalry in women's college basketball takes center stage on Thursday. Number 5 UConn in Knoxville to take on Tennessee. That's at 7 Eastern. In the 90s, Gino, Pat, you saw some of the great names there. Candace Parker, Rebecca Lobo, Diana Taurasi elevated the whole sport. And those 2 coaches, firebrands in their heyday.
Absolutely. And in my opinion, 2 of the 4 coaches on the Mount Rushmore of college basketball, you consider, of course, the great Pat Summitt, Gino Auriemma alongside Mike Krzyzewski, and John Wooden. In my opinion, those are the 4 greatest to ever grace the sideline in college basketball.
Corey, for once, I actually agree with you.
I need to change my list now.
Beverly denied at the rim. Worley getting the pick from McLeod. There's the roll. He missed the dunk, but gets the foul.
Nigel Pack finding Beverly, who finished the dunk off earlier. That time, Florida State waiting. Which is the McLeod as well as Cleveland there for the block shot. And Anish, one of the things that we have to remember, and I'm sure this is something that Leonard Hamilton will remind his team of. A year ago, the second time they played in Miami, Florida State got out to a 43-19 lead in the first half. Miami stormed back in the second half of that game, ended up falling by 1 point to that one. So again, even though there is a sizable lead here in this first half, the Noles are not out of this game.
And McLeod, whose minutes have been down of late, with Cam Corn getting more playing time, has been productive off the bench for Florida State today.
Jim Larinaga talked to us about that pregame. He said, hey, normally this is a huge Florida State team. They're rolling out 7-footer after 7-footer. Right. This is somewhat of an average-sized Florida State team. He's playing more skilled guys than he has in the past in comparison to the size.
Here comes Beverly, out to Joseph. And a traveling call, and Isaiah Wong getting ready to check in. And there's another luxury for Jim Larinaga right now with the big lead. You don't have to exhaust Isaiah Wong, who's battling that sinus issue, which is affecting his breathing.
And one of the things, of course, Jim Larinaga let us know early is the fact that he's going to stagger his minutes to try to give him shorter stints on the floor to give him that opportunity to be able to rest and not tax his body when he can't breathe as well on the floor.
Wugga Poplar back in there for Miami as well. Here's Green, just 1 of 5 so far, make it 1 of 6, and without a field goal from deep.
And you're talking about a guy who has 3 games this season where he's made 5 or more three-point field goals. So Green, one of the best shooters at 42% in ACC from beyond the three-point arc.
He has 14 games in his career with at least 5 threes. He can shoot you back into a game quick. Omier down low, no. And the rebound to Green, the UCF transfer. Down low, and there is McLeod, who's been a bright spot in this first half. That's been otherwise forgettable for Florida State.
He absolutely has been that. And the game, again, at 19, starting to become a little more manageable. Florida State wants to continue this momentum headed into the halftime locker room. Naheem McLeod making a difference on both ends of the floor, contesting the dunk opportunity for Omier, and then running the floor at 7'4", outrunning everyone else and getting the finish.
You know, he's not even the tallest guy in his family. Dad is 7'5".
So Dad calls him little fella, huh?
Little fella. How about Poplar? That time he can't hit. He's got 10 points. That's his high in ACC play. Mills going around the back. Driving inside, too strong. Poplar the rebound. Jordan Miller and Cam Corn getting ready to check in. Pack was fouled on the drive. Caleb Mills picks up the foul. That's his first.
Mills was a little frustrated that he didn't get the call on the other end of the floor, sprinted back, still trying to make a play, gets the contact on Nigel Pack, who's had a spectacular first half in his first taste of this rivalry. You have to remember that many of these guys have played in this rivalry before, but Nigel Pack, this is his first time being a part of it.
Pack's got 15 to lead all scorers. He's been playing his best ball as a Hurricane of late. And Jim Larrañaga said the big adjustment for him, it wasn't as much being the primary ball handler and point guard. It was also defending the other team's primary ball handler. That takes a lot out of you. It's taken him a half season to adjust.
It really has that. And, of course, he's a smaller point guard as Daniel Worley gets to the basket, but no result. Comes away with a missed layup on that possession in a crucial point of the game where you need every possible basket.
Omier almost traveled. Wong from the outside. Too strong. Offensive rebound, Omier. And the soft touch in the paint.
And that's a 4-point swing. You miss a layup on one end of the floor, give up an offensive rebound, and allowing Omier to get this second chance points. The rebounding advantage, 16-5 for Miami.
Mills left hand off balance.
I like the fact that Mills went back to the well, though, in comparison to pouting about the fact of the last one. He attacks once again and gets the bucket.
15 second to chance points for Miami. Pack a long 3, that's off the mark. Wong battling for the rebound. Another second chance opportunity for Miami.
And at this point, we would have to say that Miami has wanted it more as Wong attacks the rim, drops it off to Omier for the finish. Miami has wanted it more for the first 16 and a half minutes of this game.
17-0 second chance point advantage as Corn misses on the 3. And right now Florida State just not in any kind of offensive rhythm. Miami, meanwhile, making the extra pass. It's not just that the shots are going in, they're getting great looks.
They're getting great looks, and they're winning to all the 50-50 balls. All the hustle plays have gone in favor of the Canes.
Omier, great position, and taps it in. Another second chance bucket for the Canes.
And you talked about Omier and his double-doubles, and he may be a guy that ends up with a double-double here in the first half, continuing to pad his own stats.
He's had 3 double-doubles in the last 4 games. Florida State, meanwhile, does not even have an offensive rebound. Miami's got 7. Here's Green. Still can't find the range. Poplar down low. Drops it off to Miller. Miller posting up Mills. Kicks it back out to Wong. He'll line up the three and knock it down. Isaiah Wong's got 8. It's a 28-point advantage for Miami.
And it's really difficult to defend any team that is making the three-pointer at this level. 52 points for Miami right now is a season high given up in the first half for Florida State this season.
There's Corin with the flush, and that's 52 points. They've made it look so easy.
Yeah, I had a game on Saturday where neither team went above 52. Clemson beat Virginia Tech 51-50. Right now, Miami making it look easy on the offensive end of the floor, 52 already, and they are showing no signs of slowing down.
Omier lost it, and out of bounds to Florida State. 1:52 to go in this first half. Florida State's 9-game win streak against Miami in serious jeopardy. Norchad Omier has been one of the most productive big men in the ACC. Boy, is he doing some work on the glass tonight.
And he's also probably the smallest big man in the ACC, so it shows the level of heart, effort, and determination that he plays with. 8 points, 5 rebounds already in this game. You get an opportunity to look at his last 5 games. The double-doubles outside of 1 point away from Duke. It would be 4 double-doubles in a row, but he has been dominant for the Canes in the painted area.
He gets a little bit of a breather here. 8 points, 5 rebounds, and a couple of really nice assists.
Yeah, and a lot of those assists coming off of offensive rebounds, and of course everyone gathering around him, keeping his head up, finding his teammates on the perimeter, knocking down the threes. The Canes building a 26-point lead. Still 152 remaining here in this first half. Florida State has to find a way to get something positive going into the halftime locker room.
Mills finding Miller. Miller dumps it inside to Corin. Back out Miller. Rainbow three. No. Corin flew in too quickly. And now Wong's got the rebound. Anthony Walker cutting to the rim and draws the foul. That's not a made basket, but again, it was great passing, great look, and it results in 2 shots.
And it was all done by a guy who is playing great basketball. You look at Jordan Miller dropping the dime in the painted area, sharing numbers that have only been experienced over the last 3 seasons by ACC Player of the Year winners.
When you look at his impact on Miami, how would you qualify what he means to this team?
I believe Isaiah Wong is their best player, but I believe that Jordan Miller is their most important player. And the reason why he's their most important player, because at the 4 position, he is a guard, a 6'7" guard who's a very good rebounder, very good passer. He's scoring over 15 points per game, and more importantly, he's defending guys much larger than him on the other end of the floor.
Yeah, he can defend 4, sometimes 5 positions on the court. Green 0 for 6 from deep in the first half. And we get a foul. It's against Poplar.
And one of the things you have to appreciate about the Canes, Anish, is the fact that even though they've built this huge lead, they're not resting on their laurels and stopping to defend. They're still getting after defensively the same way they were to start this game. And again, that's a byproduct of the way Jim Larrañaga coaches his teams, and more importantly, knowing that they're 0 of their last 9 against this team. This is an important game.
Florida State has not had the 3-point shot today, just 1 of 11. They were 10 for 20 over the weekend in the win against Pitt. Did a lot of the damage in that game in the second half. Miller the runner, little Visine there, and it's 52-28.
I just want you to know that I appreciate you for calling that a runner and not a floater, and being lazy, as we see oftentimes in your position. So again, you know, I work with you long enough. You're starting to learn a couple things. You're starting to wear off on you a bit.
I almost called it a floater.
Just because you want to argue. You don't want me to compliment you and tell you that you've learned anything.
You caught me off guard. I said, what is this, a compliment from Corey? Come on. What year is this? 54-28. Final 10 seconds, opening half. Worley on the drive. Throws it up with one hand, tipped against the glass. Wong the rebound. Pack lets it fly. It's good if it goes. And off the backboard. That was his first miss from 3.
Don't count it.
In the first 20 minutes. I know it pains you. It does
Don't count it.
16 points for Nigel Pack. Miami shot 61% in the first half. 9 of 14 from 3. Canes trying to stop a 9-game losing streak to the Seminoles. Tucker Center. Well, in that first half, everything went right for Miami. 34 possessions. They scored on 23 of those trips.
Well, and it got started early with Nigel Pack knocking down three-pointer after three-pointer. 4 for 5 for him in the first half from beyond the three-point arc. But it wasn't only about the three-point shooting where, Miami went 9 of 14. They were also sharing the basketball, passing it extremely well. 14 assists on 20 made field goals, and then, Norchad Omier on the offensive glass was a monster in itself. And so when you think about all the hustle points, all the hustle areas, Miami took care of those, as well as the skill areas when you get a chance to look at all the numbers that happened in the first half.
The 14 assists for Miami, the second most the team has had in a half in ACC play in program history. Dominating the glass, second chance points. Overall, 22-6 in rebounds. You just don't see that from Florida State teams getting outmanned and outmuscled on the board like that.
And especially against a team that per man is smaller. And when you consider the fact that Miami gives up size at every position against the Seminoles, but even still, Miami coming into this game, knowing that their program has lost the last 9 contests against an in-state rival, they came in with a different outlook, a different motivation, a different intent in this game, and it showed in the first half.
Now remember, the last time they met, it was Florida State, which led by 26 in the second half. And Miami.
At Miami, correct, yes.
And Miami was able to get that lead down all the way and nearly had a chance to win the game on their final possession.
And I'm sure that's something that Leonard Hamilton reminded his team of at halftime, but I'm also sure Jim Larranaga reminded his team of that at halftime to make sure they continue to keep their foot on the gas pedal.
That was a 1-point loss for Miami last year. Both games a season ago decided by a point in this rivalry. Miami's got the ball first to begin the second half. Pack, 16 points to lead all scorers. Wugga Poplar had 10. And Miami turns it over on its initial possession.
And that's something that Miami did not do for the majority of the first half. It took them probably about 10 to 15 minutes of game action to have their first turnover.
Cleveland posting up the smaller Pack, missed the shot, and it goes back to Miami.
And Anish, it's a small thing, but on the first possession, that bucket would have gone a long way for Florida State. Just coming out of the halftime locker room after that speech from Coach Ham, if you get that one to go down, it changes the way you think about this game.
Isaiah Wong, 8 points in 16 minutes in that first half. Pack turns it over. Up ahead, here comes Corin ahead of the Pack, and fouled from behind by Omier, his second.
Like the chase down by Omier to not allow Cam Corin to see the basketball go through the basket. Corin does not have a field goal yet in this game. Forgive me, he does have one. But at the same time, you don't want to see guys get easy looks. Make them earn it at the free throw line. But 2 straight back-to-back possessions where it ended a turnover for Miami to start the second half.
Corin is someone thrown into the fire going into the season. He was their third option at the 5. You had Jalen Gainey, 2-time Ivy League Defensive Player of the Year, the transfer from Brown. He's out for the season. You had Cam Fletcher, who was their top rebounder. He's out for the season. So Corin, almost by default, has started to play major minutes. And again, there's some, being a freshman, being green, there's a little bit of a learning curve, but he's had his moments, played well earlier this month against Virginia.
Absolutely, was ACC Rookie of the Week after getting a career-high 18 points against Notre Dame in their first matchup. So he's shown some flashes, but the inexperience throughout the lineup, not just for Corin, but throughout the entire lineup for Florida State, has been part of their demise throughout this season.
Poplar beats the shot clock. I don't know if you're a baseball guy, but there's an old story.
You do know that I'm a baseball guy.
Paul Wainer, Hall of Famer, toward the end of his career. He's in his 40s. He's playing outfield for the Yankees. And a fan yells at him, "Why are you out there?" And his response was, "Because Joe DiMaggio's in the Army." Cam Corrin's out there because Gainey and Fletcher is hurt, and there's really no other option right now.
I mean, somebody's got to keep the seat warm, right? Somebody's got to be there to play until, you know, of course, Joe DiMaggio gets back. Same thing here. But Cam Corrin is gaining valuable experience right now, and he's going to be a guy that's much better for this Florida State team in the future, as the Noles have now forced 3 turnovers here to start the second half, and Corrin is able to finish this one off. Points off of turnovers, and 3 turnovers already for Miami compared to 0 for Florida State to start the second half.
Is that human nature kicking in? Big lead, you rest on your laurels. The other team remembers it's a rivalry game. Wong puts up with 3, his third 3 of the game, and he's got 11.
And one thing for certain, Miami did not cool off from the shooting standpoint at the halftime locker room. They haven't handled the basketball as well, but the shooting is still there.
Wong, the previous 2 games, just 3 of 16. Good ball movement. Mills puts it on the floor, swivels through the defense, and finishes.
Bensley Joseph, Anthony Walker now at the scores table, ready to check in. Jim Larrañaga's not liking what's going on with his defense here to start the second half, and you talked about resting on your laurels, making sure they continue to play with the same pace they did in the first half.
Poplar bobbled the pass. Air ball. Here comes Cleveland. Knowles looking to push. Poplar staying with Cleveland, and they whistle Wugga Poplar for his second foul.
Jim Larrañaga having a conversation with Norchad Omier coming off the floor and wanting for Bill Courtney, assistant coach, to have a conversation with him and allow him to know why he was coming out of the game, making sure that whatever the mistake was gets corrected.
Cleveland driving to the hole. And another foul against Miami.
One of the things, when you look at the conversation between Bill Courtney and Norchad Omier on the sideline, you know what the mistake was made based upon the fact that, you know, Miami is one of the very few staffs that have coordinators. So when you look at their staff and you say Bill Courtney is the offensive coordinator, so it was an offensive mistake that when you see when the guys coming over and talking to a certain coach, it was whether an offensive mistake or defensive mistake or a scouting mistake, you're always able to tell simply because Coach L has a coordinator system on his staff.
So essentially, you know whose fault it is.
You know where they messed up. Let's just say that.
Here comes Wong, splitting the defense and able to draw the foul. The last foul against Miami, by the way, was on Anthony Walker. Darren Green picks up his second.
Isaiah Wong, who's been one of the best in the ACC attacking the basket his entire career at the U. And he's one of those guys, as a scorer, he gets to the line often and takes advantage of those opportunities normally when he gets there.
Of late, he's been up and down. Part of that is due to an illness. But in 3 of the last 5 games, he's been held below 10 points. Just 4 of 27 shooting in those games, and Miami's 1 and 2 in those games. He's the eye of the hurricane.
He absolutely is that. Jim Larrañaga made it very clear to us, we cannot win big games, especially on the road, without Isaiah Wong being productive, and he has been that here this evening.
Green has not found the stroke today. He's someone, if Florida State can get him going, he has a chance to make it interesting. He can shoot you back into the game, but Miami making it look too easy on the offensive end with Anthony Walker.
And outside of the turnovers to start this second half, Florida State has not been able to defend Miami, and that's been the problem. Getting out in transition, Anthony Walker just sneaking behind the defense. Nigel Pack with the presence of mind to throw where only his teammate can get it. Walker's able to finish it off through the contact and opportunity for the and one.
Second foul on Worley. Free throw no good. Cleveland's got 8. 3 on the way by Worley. No. Tapped back out. Mills tracks it down.
That may be Florida State's first offensive rebound of the game.
Mills inside and draws the foul. A concerted effort by Florida State to attack the rim in the second half.
Absolutely. Well, the three-pointer was not falling for them in the first half, so you see they had that intent on getting to the rim and, more importantly, getting to the free throw line. They make free throws. It allows them to set up that full court pressure, which Leonard Hamilton has dialed back a lot this year because they don't have the depth. But in order to get back into this game, down 28 here in the second half, they're going to have to find a way to speed up Miami and turn them over.
Following our game, we take you over to ESPN. Another ACC clash tonight at 9 o'clock. Armando Bacot and North Carolina, last year's national runner-up, taking on Syracuse. Good post matchup. Bacot and Jesse Edwards. Joe Girard coming off a big game for the Orange. And it seems Carolina, when they play through their big guy, when they play through Armando Bacot, they can beat anybody.
But they are not a good team away from the Dean E. Smith Center. Hubert Davis has said that has nothing to do with it, but the proof is in the pudding. It shows up that North Carolina has not been great on the road, and it's always difficult to play at the Dome.
Omier gives it up. Mills, baseline. Can't get it to go. Omier snatches the rebound.
Another one of those missed opportunities for the Noles.
Joseph inside to Miller, and that's too easy.
Another 4-point swing. We talked about that. We saw it in the first half multiple times. You miss an easy layup, and Miami comes down on the other end and scores. And at some point, Florida State's going to have to stop the bleeding and get some stops.
Corin down low over Omier. Omier down low and able to draw the foul. It's on Worley.
The Hurricanes have been able to get out into transition, sharing the basketball, continue to share the sugar. Anish, you have to love it. Bensley Joseph attacking the basket, dropping it off. Jordan Miller, the easy bucket.
Back and forth we go.
Boy, that is just perfect.
There's no question. We got some ballers here.
This is one of those chances to make a statement.
It is not for the faint of heart.
Got it! We got a ball game. With Corey Alexander and Anish Shroff here at the Tucker Center in Tallahassee, Miami, leading Florida State 65-39. How do you like SEC Big Ten Challenge, Big 12 Challenge at this juncture of the season?
I love it. And
why?
The reason I love it is because now you're seeing teams for who they really are. When you have the challenges in November, early December, teams have not really become who they're going to be.
You're telling me teams evolve and get better and
You know
change?
what? I'm actually going to say that. I'm going to go out on a limb and say teams do evolve, they do change, they do get better or get worse.
Is that reflected in the net rankings?
I don't know.
Does reflect that?
It should.
Asking for a friend.
It should be reflected in the net rankings, but I don't know that it is. And you see teams get to conference play constantly and either take off or start playing worse because of the familiarity of the opponent. We look at UConn. UConn, who got off to a great non-conference start, then they lose like 5 or 6 games in Big East play because their opponents know them. Doesn't mean that they're not a good team, but their opponents know who they are and what they do.
Cleveland strong to the tip. I'm still trying to figure out, and I don't know if it's still true as of today, but it was true a day or two ago, how Virginia Tech was higher in the net rankings than Clemson.
Because Virginia Tech had a great non-conference. They only have one loss in non-conference play as Bensley Joseph tries to thread the needle. and that's the reason why. Clemson had a number of tough losses, losing to Loyola, etc., in non-conference play. But in my opinion, I think that conference play should be weighted heavier throughout the country, not just in the ACC, but for every conference, it should be weighted heavier than the non-conferences.
Clemson also beat Virginia Tech in Blacksburg, for what it's worth.
Well, they've actually swept them for the first time since Virginia Tech has been to ACC, as Caleb Mills is able to knock down the three, which has been rare for the Seminoles here tonight.
Only their second made three. Florida State 2 out of 15 from deep. Poplar got off to a fast start. Baba Miller in there with that long reach. Poplar drives on Miller. Might have got a piece of the shot from behind. It will stay with Miami.
But another second chance opportunity for the Hurricanes. Norchad Omier involved in the mix. Continues to be aggressive, attacking the offensive glass.
Harlan Beverly back into the game. And nearly stolen away by Cleveland. Last touch, though, off Isaiah Wong.
Great job by Matthew Cleveland getting out into the passing lane.
Jalen Worley drops it off. Cleveland could not get it past Omier, who sealed up the paint.
Another missed opportunity for the Canes. Does Miami take advantage of it here? Looks like they will.
Omier draws the foul. You talk about the 4-point swings, another one.
And it's continued to happen in this game, and it starts with Florida State not being able to set their defense because they're missing layups. And again, no one on the team expecting for the layup to be missed. Florida State's a team that picks up 94 feet, so guys are up expecting to be able to try to find their man in comparison to getting back defensively off of what should have been an easy finish.
How many shots now is that at the rim that Florida State has not converted?
I would definitely say we have to use both hands to do it. It's more than 5, so we, again, still counting on fingers. I know you and your Syracuse degree, you have to do that. So
communication major.
Hey, listen, you and I go way back. I know math is not your thing.
Nope. I need the abacus. I need the calculator, the TI 100, TI 85.
I texted you the other day, too. Did you give up the T9 texting? Do you no longer have the flip phone?
I got rid of the flip phone.
Oh, no.
Just as it's making a comeback.
No.
I saw the other day TikTokers are using the flip phone, so just as I give it up, it becomes a thing.
See?
Which explains a lot.
You know what? You're absolutely correct.
Here comes Baba Miller inside using the size. Corey, he hasn't played a whole lot. What is the ceiling for 11 and White?
Well, I mean, the ceiling is he's going to be an NBA player. The question becomes, is he going to be an NBA player after this season, or does he stick around and get better and get more prepared for the next level, staying at Florida State and learning how to play the same way that Jonathan Isaac did, the same way that Mufon Kamengele and all the different Florida State players have done over the years, which allows them to be successful once they get to the NBA.
Play clock, or rather shot clock running down, and it's a shot clock violation.
Baba Miller using his size in the post area, setting the screen, and then facing up Anthony Walker and just using that size to finish over the top of the niche. It's a small milestone, but right now Florida State with an opportunity to get this lead under 20, which we haven't seen since very early in the first half.
Miami has led by as many as 28. Mills with the right hand, and he draws the foul on Wong. That's 2 on Isaiah Wong, and that's one way to claw back, get to the free throw line, score with the clock stopped.
Absolutely, and you're putting Florida State's career best free throw shooter on the line, so you would expect for Caleb Mills to go to the free throw line and knock down both of these and then allow the Seminoles to be able to set their defense with immediate timeout coming up at the next dead ball most likely. Leonard Hamilton could be a little more aggressive right now because he has a chance to get his guys a quick blow on the next dead ball.
Miami only committed 3 fouls in the first half, 6 now in the second half, so Florida State in the bonus from here on out. Mills has now reached double figures in 11 straight games, and you jinxed him.
No, it was not me. He made the first one. You were talking.
I wasn't talking about his free throw percentage.
Doesn't matter. You were
his
talking.
Free throw prowess. Miller staying with Pack, and Pack able to get around the 6'11" freshman.
Clever play by Pack to fake the pass, keeping Baba Miller's hands down, and then going over a player who's about a foot taller than him to finish it off.
A game high 18 for Nigel Pack. Lob down low for Miller, stolen away, and a foul as Wong tried to bring it up over half court. The foul on Florida State. It's on Worley, his third.
Welcome back to Tallahassee, where Miami holds a 22-point lead over Florida State Seminoles, and we want to appreciate all our guys, College Sports Communicators Membership Appreciation Week. Want to make sure we give a shout out to Alex Schwartz, the SID for Miami, and of course, the GOAT.
He's the best. Chuck Walsh, longtime sports information director for Florida State, and congratulations to Chuck Walsh. The U.S. Basketball Writers Association recently gave him the 2023 Catholic Quinn Award, recognizing his contributions. He will be honored in Houston at the Final Four. Chuck telling us that will be his first trip to the Final Four. He is not just one of the best in the business, he is the best in the business.
Absolutely. Well-deserved. Congratulations to Chuck. And very few people enjoy their job as much as Chuck Walsh does. And congratulations to him being honored.
Wong gets the 2, no foul. Caleb Mills tried to sell it.
I love the no call there. That's just basketball. I got TV Teddy Valentine right on top of it. Just puts his hands up like there's nothing there, guys. Let's play basketball.
Florida State gives it back.
Isaiah Wong getting out in transition, and you can see he dips the left shoulder. Caleb Mills getting into his area, and again, if there was a call there, it would have been a blocking call, a foul on Caleb Mills. I love the fact that Teddy Valentine did not make a call and award either player, especially with Wong making the bucket.
Chandler Jackson, the freshman from Memphis, picking up the foul. Jalen Worley, by the way, has 4 fouls, so he's on the bench for Florida State. Miller too easy over Cleveland, and the lead is 73-47. We come up on 10:50 to play here in the second half.
And Miami sharing the basketball extremely well. You look at the 78% field goal shooting here in the second half as Naheem McLeod continues to have an impact when he's on the floor. But the problem with that, at this point now, when you're down 24 points, battling 2s for 2s isn't going to help the Noles. At some point, they're going to have to start stepping up and making some threes in this game.
Stan Jones, who over the years has worked magic with the Florida State big man, and Naheem McLeod, sophomore who began his career in the junior college ranks. He's one of the latest projects for Stan Jones, and he's lost minutes of late, but he's been a little bit of a bright spot today.
He absolutely has, and a lot of it has to do with Derek Green Jr. steps up and knocks down his first 3-point field goal of the game, and more importantly, allowing Florida State to set their defense, pick up, and see if they can put some pressure on Miami.
First 3 of the game for Green, Florida State's leading scorer, just 5 points, 2 of 9, 1 of 8 from downtown. O'Meara lost it out of bounds, and it's back to Florida State. Seminoles have made their last 3 from the field, 6 of their last 8, and a chance to get this lead or this deficit under 20 again. Cleveland thought about the 3, puts it on the floor, and he was bumped on the drive. Isaiah Wong with his 3rd foul. And a timeout by Jim Larrañaga with 10:05 to go in the second half. Miami's still up 21. Florida State to the free throw line when we come back. Since the last time these two teams played, a tale of two cities, quite literally.
It absolutely has been that. You look at Florida State, who started out last season at 6-1 in ACC play in first place in the ACC after that win against Miami in Coral Gables. And from then, you look at the record for the Noles. They got bit by the injury bug, did not qualify for the NCAA tournament. Only 9 ACC wins since then, including this season where they've been 5-4. So it's been a tale of two stories for both these coaches from a year ago when they played against each other.
And while there's a lot of respect between these two, Jim Larrañaga is not going to feel sorry for Leonard Hamilton because his program went through that for a couple of years where it just seemed everybody was getting hurt. Nobody could stay healthy, and Miami was barely playing 7 guys sometimes.
And Jim Larrañaga also had to watch Leonard Hamilton continuously take his team to the NCAA tournament, an Elite 8 finish for the Noles, as well as a couple of Sweet 16 finishes as well. So it was truly a reversal of fortunes between these two programs.
An offensive foul, no basket. Arlen Beverly, the perpetrator.
You know, and what I would love to see, and again, it's not within the rules right now in college basketball, but you see Harlan Beverly releases that basketball well before the foul. I would love to see the basket count. You still call, because the call is correct. Clarence Armstrong's right on top of the call is correct. It was a charge. But I would love to see the basket actually count, even though Beverly picks up that foul.
Here is Green, left it short. Cleveland from the elbow, too strong. And now Pack pushing, stripped away from behind by Mills. Jackson the other way. Cleveland driving on Wong, kicks it out. Green for 3, and it spins out. It's been that kind of night for Florida State.
It absolutely has been, specifically for Darren Green, who at 42%, one of the better shooters in the ACC from beyond the three-point arc, but just has not been able to really get it to fall here, especially in big moments where his team could truly use a basket.
Green just 2 of 11, 1 of 10 from downtown. He came in on a heater, 9 of his past 16 from 3 entering play. Wong over the 7-4 McLeod.
So you're going to take credit for that. You spoke up heater, so you felt like Isaiah Wong, it was time for him to go with a little bit of heat check?
All right, listen, 18 points, 5 out of 6 from the field, 4 threes.
And great to see Isaiah Wong back, the guy that we've grown to know and love throughout the ACC.
Mills driving on Omier. McLeod the putback. 11 points for Naheem McLeod, 4 off a career high. Pack for 3. Rebound Mills.
I need someone behind us just yell, why'd you let him shoot? You take that shot. It's nothing you can do to stop Nigel Pack from taking that shot. It's simply about whether he makes it or not.
Omier playing defensive back down low. And we get a whistle.
That's like saying, why do you let Isaiah Wong shoot? Well, he's sizing up a 7'4" center, but still dropping it. Nothing but net from the top of the key.
Go here in regulation. Canes looking to snap a 9-game losing streak against Florida State. Isaiah Wong, Miami's leading scorer after a couple of down games. Jim Larrañaga said he hasn't been himself due to a sinus illness for the last week. Even though he's still dealing with that today, he's played a pretty efficient game.
He absolutely has done that, and when you consider Isaiah Wong, his level of attention that you have to pay to him on the floor gives his teammates so many opportunities. You don't want to help off Isaiah Wong because he is a capable shooter, shooting over 35% from three, but he's so dangerous with the basketball in his hands, attacking the rim, getting downhill, getting to the free throw line. He truly is the best player for the Miami Hurricanes. Not always the most important player, but they cannot be successful without him being successful.
You saw it in the NCAA tournament during that Elite Eight run, the number of big shots that Isaiah Wong hit for Miami.
And the poster. We will always remember the dunk. He was out there catching bodies on much bigger players once he attacked the rim.
Canes got to the Elite Eight. They had a 6-point lead against eventual champion Kansas in the regional final. That was a halftime lead. Worley back in there with the 4 fouls. Cleveland, that's a 3, air ball into the caress of Poplar. Pack is 4 of 6 from 3 tonight. 17 of his last 32. There's Miller. He's the only Miami starter not in double figures. Wong trying to get separation, picked up his dribble. Shot clock down to 4. O'Meara blocked from behind by McLeod, and Cleveland comes away with it. Green, shot fake, now fires. Tipped by O'Meara. Right to himself.
Green has just not been able to get it going as Long attacking the basket, and again drops it off to Pack. Great ball movement for Miami, and this is normally one of those plays where you see them end up with a wide open 3, but Nigel Pack actually slowing it down, making sure they get a quality opportunity.
McLeod out on the perimeter. Pack shoots over him. Everybody wants a piece of the 7'4" big guy now.
They have been picking on my guy Naheem McLeod from outside. That time he won the battle, but unable to finish off the attempt at the rim.
All right, as a guard, speak truthfully. You see a big guy come that far out. Drive on him, or is it bonus points if you're able to shoot over him like Isaiah Wong did a little while ago?
I'm blowing his doors off. I'm going to the rim. And again, so many better things can happen for you once you go to the rim. There's normally going to be help. You find one of your teammates, or you can go try to dunk it, and then of course if you catch the body there, you got a highlight. You find yourself in top 10 on SportsCenter. So many better things can happen for you when you go to the basket.
Wong catch and shoot. I'd say put you on a poster, but that's so 90s. Now it's YouTube, right? Or
yeah,
you turn into a meme.
Yeah. Not really sure what the correct term is now. I think I've kind of aged out of that demographic. Miami right now content to run some clock. Not going to rush to find a look early in the shot clock and play as fast as they did early in the game.
Pack now with the shot clock at 7. Driving on McLeod. Miller, the Thunder.
Case in point, you blow his doors off, one of your teammates comes in and catches a body. The nice find from Nigel Pack as he decides this time he's going to go past Naheem McLeod. The help from Jalen Worley allows Jordan Miller to dunk on the 7'4" Naheem McLeod. And we don't know if it's a poster. We don't know it's an NFT. We're not sure really what
I like that.
You like NFT?
I like NFT.
Okay, all right. We're not sure what it is, but either way, it's going to go on Jordan Miller's mixtape. Please believe it.
All 5 Miami starters in double figures now. Canes shooting 61% from the field, 11 of 20 from 3. Caleb Mills gets one on the other end.
I love the attack by Caleb Mills, but this is at the point to where I say, why didn't you do that on the other opportunities you got to the rim where you didn't finish? We know you have it in you, And again, if you do that in the first half, maybe that builds a little more momentum for your team.
Wong lets it fly in and out. Rebound Miller.
That's a tough shot, but Isaiah Wong is a tough shot maker as Miller maybe got away with a travel right there in transition.
Mills open for three. Offensive rebound, Corin. Bullies inside, can't get the roll, and Miller knocked it out. 82-56. It has been all Miami since the opening tip. Basketball is presented by Progressive Insurance. It's easy to bundle your home and car insurance at progressive.com. Miami 3 minutes and 50 seconds away from ending a 9-game losing streak in the hands of Florida State. It has been all Canes really from the get-go, 82-56. And both of these teams came in that amoeba at the top of the ACC. You've got Clemson sitting there at number 1, and then a number of teams at 6-3 and 5-4. Florida State at 5-4 might surprise some people. They started the season 1-9 overall. They've been better in conference, and Miami preseason number 4 in the ACC. Well, right near the top, almost beat Duke over the weekend. This is a strong Miami team that has a chance to make another deep run in March.
It absolutely is. That health is the concern for the Hurricanes, as it is for every team in college basketball, but they do have a bench. They got a strong rotation, about 8 guys, where Jim Larrañaga can play different ways, but of course they're going to need Isaiah Wong to be at his best all season.
Are you sold on Clemson staying in the top spot in the ACC?
I don't know necessarily that they stay in the top spot, because Chase Hunter being out, I'm not sure if they can maintain their level offensively, but I am definitely sold on Clemson being a top 4 team that gets a double bye in the ACC tournament. I think they're good enough that they can hold things off until they get their starting backcourt back, with P.J. Hall, Hunter Tyson both playing first-team All-ACC level basketball throughout this season.
A collision down low as Poplar drove. He is fouled by Jackson. The way the league has functioned this year, I don't see anybody running away with the ACC.
I don't think that will be the case, and there are a lot of good teams in the ACC this season. And again, many of the metrics won't show that based upon what happens in November, but there are a lot of quality wins available in ACC basketball play, which takes me back to my point that we talked about in the first half. This every year, but not just, but more particularly this year, you have to judge this league based upon what happens during conference play. And the reason you say that, because it's always been the excuse for the last 5-10 years, oh, well, this is what happened in the ACC Big Ten Challenge. Well, the ACC happened to win the ACC Big Ten Challenge this year. The final one, the ACC wins at 8-6. You've got Pittsburgh going on the road, blowing out Northwestern. You've got, so many different. Wake Forest goes to Wisconsin and beats them. These are big wins, but I don't think that nationally the ACC is still being recognized the way it should be on a grand scale.
And a refrain that I've heard from a number of coaches in the league this year is that in this league, you see so many different styles night in, night out. You play a vintage Florida State team. They're going to pick you up 94 feet. They're going to rotate out a lot of guys and pressure you, force you into turnovers, speed you up. Syracuse with the zone. Virginia with the pack line. Georgia Tech's got its fun house with trick mirrors defense. That prepares you for the NCAA tournament far more than some other leagues, and it's a big reason why last year the ACC didn't have very many teams in, but 3 of the 5 that got in got to the Elite 8. You get to March, and now you got small turnarounds, and you go into your scout. Well, this team reminds us of Syracuse. This team reminds us of NC State. This team reminds us of Florida State. The scouting report is there.
It absolutely is that. And again, I've been preaching that for probably the last 3 seasons, as the ACC since 2019 has been one of the conferences with lesser teams in the NCAA tournament. But the reason why you preach that is because, just like you said, when the ACC gets to March and they get to the NCAA tournament, more often than not, teams are successful. They're advancing into the second weekend. You go back and you even look at last year, Notre Dame got 2 wins in the NCAA tournament a year ago. The 5th team, so everyone outside of Virginia Tech got wins for the ACC once they got to the NCAA tournament a year ago. And again, iron sharpens iron. From December, when you start playing conference games, this conference gets better for the majority of the teams heading into the ACC tournament.
Now, what happened last year was that the conference was written off in large part at this juncture of the season, so teams were getting better. It's just that nobody outside really noticed until we got into the NCAA tournament.
And normally other conferences have older teams to start the season because the ACC has so many guys leaving to go pro. You've got more pros in this league than you do normally in a traditional year than any other league. And so many of the teams are starting over. Now you, of course, bring in the transfer portal to be a part of that as well. And teams in November aren't as good as they're going to be when they get to March.
So who are a couple of those teams in the ACC right now that they took their lumps in non-conference? Certainly we know Florida State is one. I guess Syracuse would be another.
That's my first one. I talk about Syracuse playing with a freshman point guard in Judah Mintz. And Syracuse is getting 40+% of their scoring from their freshman class. Those guys are better today in late January than they were in November when they were taking lumps and they were losing some of those non-conference games at home.
Even if you look at a team like Virginia Tech, maybe on the outside it surprised people that they beat Duke the other night. They weren't as bad as 1-7 in the ACC. They get Hunter Couture back, and that's the heart and soul of that team. He makes the defense better. That is a team that is much more talented than its record indicates in conference.
It absolutely has been that, and they have lost close games. Again, they went into the game last night against Duke at 1-7 in ACC play. John Shire made it very clear they could have easily been 5-2 in ACC play. That's how close the games they were playing. Look at Miami. They're winning. Take this game out of consideration. They're winning close games. They lose by 2 at Duke. They're playing in close games. They can go either way.
How about Robinson with the nifty move to the basket? Ja'Kai Robinson, redshirt freshman, former top 100 player. Both teams got a lot of their bench players on the floor. Final seconds here in Tallahassee.
And this has been an impressive performance by the Canes as Robinson still competing, comes up with the block shot to end it for Miami as they walk away from Tallahassee with a 23-point victory over the rival, the first win in the last 10 meetings between these two in-state rivals.
Miami's first win against Florida State since 2018. It's the Canes' first win in Tallahassee since 2016, and it is the largest margin of victory by either team in this rivalry. Hurricanes shot 50% from 3, 11 of 22, 86 points, 50+ in the first half. All 5 starters in double figures, and Ishraf Corey Alexander. Canes end the 9-game losing streak against Florida State. This game really was never close.
It was never close. Miami got off to a huge start behind the three-point shooting of Nigel Pack, and they never looked back after that. Wooga Poplar, so many different guys got involved in the mix for Miami, scoring early, and their defense continued to stay stout.
And Isaiah Wong, after a couple of lackluster games, and he had been dealing with a sinus illness that impacted his breathing, he was efficient today. 18 points, 4 of 7 from downtown.
You know what? And even though he was efficient and shot the basketball well, he's under his average for this series. He averages 21 points per game coming again, but 0 for 6 against the Florida State Seminoles coming into this game.
He gets his first win against the Seminoles for Florida State. Next up, they have a Saturday home date against Clemson. And the way this league has gone and the way Florida State's been playing of late, today notwithstanding, don't be surprised if the Seminoles come back and win that game.
Well, another rivalry game for the Seminoles playing against Clemson. And, of course, you're talking about the team that holds the lead in the ACC play right now. I'm expecting the guys to be up for that game, especially after this performance here in a rivalry game tonight that Florida State didn't match up to the test.
Meanwhile, Miami, they'll take on Pitt this weekend. The Canes still within striking distance of the top of the ACC. Miami improves to 7-3 in conference. Florida State falls to 5-5 in league play. Final score from Tallahassee and the Tucker Center: Canes 86, Florida State 63. The Noles Miami mastery ended tonight.